What is up, YouTubers? Warrenaterz here. Today I'm dismantling my computer because, as you can see from the front intake next to the logo, it's got a lot of dust in it. Now, dust does affect the performance of the computer. So, for example, if your dust gets on your CPU cooler, it makes it less efficient because there's less air contact. And by the laws of thermal conductivity, you basically get a hotter CPU. So I thought it was necessary to clean my computer, and it's not been taken apart in a while. So, and also because you guys are not actually seeing the other side of my computer. As you can see, I have actually got a case window. I wasn't lying about that. I'll let you have a look inside it because you've not actually seen inside my computer. I did plan on doing a build log of my computer, but I never really got around to it. I don't know why, but in the end I wish I did do it and time-lapse it. But this is my computer. So first thing I wanted to do was get the side panel off. So you'll see me doing that now. Now, one thing you'll notice is that I actually have a Windows side panel. The bit Phoenix Prodigy itself, it doesn't actually come with that, the black version. You have to get the Windows side panel at an extra cost. Now, the Windows side panel, it cost me about 15 quid. But by default you get a side panel that's actually got vents in it, so it holes. And I just cut out along the side for the graphics card's ventilation. But that's the side panel. I'm just going to take that into my living room, as you do. But that actually unveils the inside of the computer. Now, one thing I'd like to note is that it's not the nicest cable routing that I've got going on in my case. But I would like to point out that this is a mini ITX case, and it's actually often really hard to cable route something. I did think about this when I built my computer. I did consider the airflow and whereabouts I need to put the wires. But there were just some instances where I couldn't do anything about it. Take for example the PCIe connector that connects the graphics card and gives it power. There was just no way I could hide that whatsoever. I suppose I could route it around the side of the case and use cable ties, but that would have been a real load of hassle. That thing I was touching then, that's actually an AC97 connector. That's the audio, but it's a really old connector, AC97. The connector for the audio is that tiny wire that's by my graphics card. My graphics card was actually pushing it down slightly, but anyway, next thing I do, I take the graphics card out. Now, you may notice the blue strap that I've also got clipped to my hand. What that is, that's an ESD cable. And in case you don't know, ESD means electrostatic discharge. Basically, when you're handling a component, you transfer electrons between the objects. So one of the objects becomes positively charged and one becomes negatively charged, and that's basically what a static shock is. But the problem with computing, a static shock can be really deadly to the components. Most components now have protection against this, but what the ESD strap does, it puts you on the same electrical level as what the computer is. Now, you're better off connecting this to a bare piece of metal in my computer, but since my computer it's all powder coated, this wasn't really possible. The hard drive itself, that's a bit of bare metal, but you don't want to be strapping it to that. That's possibly the most delicate component in the computer. But that's a graphics card anyway. I've got a Gamewood NVIDIA GTX 660. It's a 2 gig card, and it's perfectly fine at 1080p. But I do eventually plan on upgrading my graphics card. Maybe a 780 or something like that, because maybe in a couple of years' time, this graphics card, it's not really going to have much power in it, and it's going to be unsuitable for most current games. You may have also just noticed that I took a tiny picture on my phone. That was actually the latch that I had to push to take the graphics card out. So I'll just let you have a quick look at that. yeah, and that unveils the inside of a computer. Now, you'll notice the CPU fan, I've got a, Zalman CMPS 9900 Max. It's a blue LED version, and it's like a circular cooler, and it looks pretty awesome, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, one other thing I've done, I've actually just removed the USB cable. That was for the front header. Yeah, it's USB 3, and it just allowed me to, have a look at the cooler itself and get me told Hoover in there. Yeah, it's actually my mum's Hoover. It's a pretty good Dyson, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I wanted to put the Hoover in there so it'd pick up the dust and get it out of there, because the problem is when you use a can of air to blow the dust out, it doesn't have anywhere to go. So you're better off using something like a Hoover or a leaf blower. That really gives it a decent blast of air. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm using a Hoover. It's so that it actually pulls the dust out of a computer. It doesn't really just let it settle somewhere else. So yeah, I just like brushed over the components with it. Yeah, and then I called it a day. So next thing I did, I got my can of air. Now you can get these on Amazon, they're really cheap. I think they're about £4 on Amazon. But yeah, I got the can of air just to brush over the places where I couldn't get with the Hoover. Now, you may actually notice some dust popping out when I spray the can. But yeah, sometimes dust can like coat the CPU cooler itself. So it's best to get that off, because it really inhibits the power of the CPU cooler. Because you're gonna get less thermal dissipation at the end of the day. So yeah, I just brushed over it with a can of air, and I made sure I got every last bit I could find. Now, yeah, I didn't actually take the other side panel off, simply because I'm lazy. Yeah, but the problem is on the Prodigy, the other side panel, it's actually connected to all the ports. So say for example, your front header for your USBs, your power button, your reset, and all your headphone and microphone and everything, that's actually mounted on the side of the case. So to take that side panel off, you got to unplug everything, and it would have been too much hassle for me to do, so I didn't really fancy doing it. Yeah, so I brushed over it with the Hoover again just to get those last remaining bits of dust that I just disturbed with the can of air. Yeah, it's best always to pull the most amount of dust you can out, because it's going to remain in there forever unless you don't. So yeah, I only ever dust my computer every few months. Yeah, say for example when the air intake, it's got an absolute load of dust on it. I'll actually show you that in a bit. It's really dusty. So yeah, I don't really do it often, I gotta admit, but yeah, here I am blowing into it, just to get those last few bits and wafting the dust out. That's actually really bad of me doing that, because at the end of the day I've got asthma. And I've never really had asthma in quite a while, but yeah, it's not really the sort of thing you should be doing when it can easily provoke attacks. And but I just did it anyway, because YOLO. Anyway, what you was actually looking at there was the radiator grill. Yeah, that was actually a dust filter. Say for example, if you want liquid cooling, you can mount a 240mm radiator there, and it does inhibit the use of a CD drive, so that's why I don't use it. But yeah, that was just requiring a quick wipe down, and that's about it. After that, what I began on doing, I began on taking off the front panel. Now, all of the front panel is actually a dust filter, but there's 4 clips on the inside of the case, and you have to push those in. Now, it was actually kind of hard reaching the other 2 clips, but I finally managed to get them. It was a problem with the cable routing that I've done. But yeah, I just needed to wipe that down before I put it in. But you can also see the massive ring of dust that the front intake fan is causing. The front intake fan's 120mm. I did plan on getting a 240, but or a 230, should I say. It doesn't actually fit 240s. Yeah, but I never really got around to it. So, anywho, yeah. If you just saw that cloth, yeah, that's got a lot of dust on it. I'm not exactly sure if the camera picked that up, but yeah, there was an immense amount of dust on that cloth. So good job my mother washes the cloths. So yeah. I just wanted to make sure I got all the dust out of the crevices and things. That's what she said. Now, the last part of the cleaning process was actually another dust filter. Now, I know you can't exactly see one, but there is actually a third dust filter on this computer. Now, can you guess where it is? Yeah, I'll just tell you anyway. You see where the power supply is? It says CX750 on it, and basically, it's a Corsair CX750, basically. It's 750 watts. I don't actually need that much, but it gives me a bit of headroom in case I upgrade. But yeah, the PSU, it does actually have its own dust filter, so it just slots out from the back like that. And look how much dust that's got on it as well. So yeah, that just needed a bit of cleaning off, so yeah. Just wipes that off with a cloth. After that though, I began on putting it back together. Yeah, noticed I've already put the graphics card in. I just did that to speed up this video. I was actually cleaning the computer for about 45 minutes. So yeah, just for the process of this video, I've sped it up slightly. So yeah, I'm just putting side panel on. As you can see, I did actually lose the screws in this process as well. One dropped down into this bag full of confidential documents that we need to burn in his home. So yeah, it took me like 10 minutes just to find that screw that I lost. But yeah, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like on it and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because it really helps me out and I do appreciate it. But guys, from me, peace out, so have a good one.